So day 7 was the final journey, leaving from Narooma back to the Blue Mountains. And it was an enjoyable scenic driveway. And most of this video is just going to be showing you some of the scenery that we witnessed along the way. And yeah, some glimpses of some of the small towns that we passed. But most of this drive was just open green pastures, farmlands, small country towns, going through forest areas. But it was a very scenic drive, I must admit. Not much there along the way until you come in and out of the coastal regions, but overall there were some beautiful places to see on this particular drive. And we ended up going back through Bowral up to the Blue Mountains. So we took a back road rather than going through Wollongong, because there's 2 ways you can go up the mountains. You can go through Bowral, or there's a couple more roads that go up as well, but we just felt that was the quickest one on the day. And I didn't get much filming done right near on the last part of our journey, mainly because it was a bloody big storm that we hit. But here's some of the scenery along the way. One thing to remember, that this is a long open road, and yes, you do pass through some small towns like this, but there's actually not much in them. You'll be lucky if you find a service station where you can get some Coke or a couple of snacks. So if you're going on a road trip like this, always good to have an esky in the back of your car with some snacks, even a thermos with coffee or tea in it, just so that you can pull over at some of the random rest stops that you're going to come across on these open roads. Or even if you come into a small town with a park and you just need a break whilst you're driving. Having some good music in the car helps, but with my parents it was all about the, old school music. But yes, but here you go. Here's another beautiful area that we're coming into. See, my parents are in their late 70s, and so the music that they were playing, you can imagine it was old school. And but still, that was interesting overall. But this next place we're coming into, my parents wanted to explore this town and just show us that it was an old logging town, apparently. And I'll tell you a little bit more about it now as we're coming closer to this town. So we decided to stop into a village called Tilba. Now, this is a pristine historic village, and it's set against the magnificent backdrop of Ulladulla and Mount Dromedary in central Tilba. And it's a perfectly restored and maintained period village, protected by the National Heritage Listing. Now, Central Tilba offers a range of shops and galleries to explore and enjoy, plus a range of cafes and beautiful and historic buildings. The famous ABC cheese factory, and so much more at this particular location. The area was also protected by a National Heritage Listing. The town itself was settled during the Australian gold rushes of the 19th century and was hometown of the Bate family, who were politically well known in the area. The ABC Cheese Factory is a local tourist attraction, and it was in operation from September 1891 to 2006, and it remains a local tourist attraction. The Tilba factory was purchased in 2012 by 2 local dairy farmers who installed new cheese making and milk bottling equipment, bringing back the tradition of dairy manufacture in the actual Tilba area. The milk bottled and cheese made on this site are from 2 local farms, one in Tilba and one in Cobargo. In 2006, there were 19 locals employed at the factory, where they were producing award-winning cheese, yogurt and milk made from Jersey milk. As of 2021, the business is called Tilba Real Dairy. I generally encourage you to support these local businesses, because the big companies like Woolworths and Coles, the big shopping malls, are really ripping off a lot of these local farmers. So if you see these local factories in these small towns, then buy local, because it's better for the local economy than going to Coles and Woolworths. And just a bit more history here that I briefly touched on before. So in the mid-1800s, the lands were extremely fertile in the area, so Europeans settled here, where they they established dairy farming as a prominent industry that began the initial development of the towns. Many of the original cottages were built using local eucalyptus, and When alluvial and reef gold was discovered in the region, a boom of sorts began, bringing with it much more prosperity and newcomers up until the late 1800s. The Bate family, as I previously mentioned, were the key political figures in establishing the town and the main street of central Tilba, named in their honour. By the early 1900s, the gold rush was over and the region returned to its original roots of dairy farming. And the ABC Cheese Factory, as I mentioned before, established in 1881, continues the tradition thanks to the Dibben family, which was purchased in 2006. So after leaving that quaint little town, we're back on the road again, off exploring. And as you can see here, there's always beautiful scenery to be seen on the open road here. And it was just a great, relaxing drive coming through these various towns. And here we're coming past through one of the coastal sections. And there was a lot of sort of big lakes, rivers that we had passed through along the way to our next destination. It's a place with a range of activities, like a deep dive with seals, paddle along the glassy bays, pluck oysters from the shallows. It's got a range of accommodation. It's famous for its captivating natural wonders. This coastal community is fast becoming South Coast's most fashionable foodie destination as well, from what I was just reading online. But it is a very beautiful area. And highly recommending taking a stop in here. And I'm going to put this on my to-do list to come back here, because we did get to see some seals just swimming close to shore. And that's honestly the first time I've seen seals swim close to shore. Maybe I need to get out more, but it was really interesting just seeing these seals swimming across the water. There was also a few nice cafes here and bakeries, and we checked out a couple of bakeries but decided to go in there and get some morning tea. And as you can see, here's one of the caravan parks that we were just passing by. And opposite, near this caravan park is where we stopped to get some delicious bakery items. And then we went back and found a nice quiet area to sit and just have a bite to eat. But yes, it's a beautiful area. So we've driven up from Bega area and we're in Narooma now, Narooma. And we're just stopping for a bite to eat. So we're going to grab some food from the local bakery. So now I've got some stuff from the bakery. We're stopping by the lake here, or the inlet, basically to have a bite to eat. Got ourselves a couple of sausage rolls, lamington, and we're just going to chill and relax here. If you've got kids, even this place is nice and relaxing. But look at this water. Actually, it's so fucking clear. It's beautiful. But here you go. This is where I am. Just look at that beautiful view out there. Hey, what's that? It's a seal. There's a seal in the water. I didn't realise that. That was a bit of an unusual sight. Didn't expect to see him here. Once leaving this place, we're back on the open road again. And again, it's just beautiful scenery, as you can see here as we're going over this bridge. There's just so many places I would have loved to have stopped and spent more time in. And next time, I would love to come back to this section of the South Coast and just spend a whole week just exploring this area, because it just seemed like there was just a lot to do here, I can say that. And a lot of beautiful small towns that I wanted to see, apart from all the beautiful farming areas and landscapes that you saw driving along here. It just seemed like a place that I would really like to explore. And I think next time I'm going to take a whole week down this area just to really relax. And maybe I'll get a fishing rod and do some fishing while I'm down here. But of course, in New South Wales, if you're going to do some fishing, you've got to get a fishing licence. And I think you can get like day fishing licences, 14-day ones, as well as others. But, so yeah, don't just throw your fishing rod in, or you might find New South Wales fisheries hitting you with a fine if they happen to pass by. The next town we started to pass through was a town called Ulladulla in New South Wales. And though I haven't been there much as an adult, as a child I have a lot of fond memories coming down this south coast and actually exploring the area. And Ulladulla has a range of heritage walks, nature reserves, And you can also reward yourself with some of the famous seafood in the area, the picturesque harbour. It really offers a laid-back, relaxing coastal escape in the Shoalhaven region, full of gourmet delights, natural beauty, interesting galleries and surf shops. Another beautiful area. Here we're passing through Milton in New South Wales, which is a town in the Shoalhaven region and is an historic village, perfect for weekend getaways or a longer stay, and has a lot of shopping, restaurants, stunning country scenes. Yes, it's renowned for its cafes, its restaurants. It's mixed with quirky arts and design boutique stores and gives a uniquely Milton experience when you visit. The town itself was established in 1860, and much of its character is derived from the many historic buildings here. So much so that the entire town has now been classified by the National Trust as an historic village. The monthly village arts and craft markets reflect the many skilled artists and designers living in the area. And it's a great way to spend the day or have a tasty breakfast. Though again, this was just a drive-by through the town, as we didn't have time to stop here on this particular occasion. And it was about just getting home as we were slowly heading back to the Blue Mountains. And again, we were back out in the open road and just look at this beautiful scenery. And that's the reason I was trying to capture some of it, because I was trying to show you guys exactly what I was experiencing driving home. And it was just amazing, beautiful scenery. And as you can see here, just greenery all around us on this road trip. Didn't matter which side you're looking at, it was just beautiful everywhere driving along here. So this was the last video in our road trip as we were gradually heading back to the Blue Mountains. And I must admit, it was a really beautiful trip, going all the way from the Blue Mountains through inland, through Bathurst, through those places like Ballarat and Bendigo and Young and all those places, down to Geelong, up the east coast along Lakes Entrance, as well as all the other little places that we stopped to along the way. And it was a good way for me just to get a feel of places I would like to come back to again. And I guess on this journey, this road trip that we did through inland New South Wales and back up the east coast, I would say a lot of the places I would really like to come back to is around the south coast. Yeah, I wouldn't mind going back and spending some more quality time around the beaches of Geelong and staying in those areas and relaxing. And it was nice to go back to areas that I had not been to since I was a child. And also to learn about some of my family history. And maybe I had some vague memories of the area, but it was nice to just listen to my dad telling me some of the stories of his childhood and my mother's childhood and where our family came from in Geelong and how they did eventually end up in Sydney. And and just going around the beautiful scenery of Geelong. But the East Coast, I'm just going to say that South East Coast Drive, it's definitely worthwhile doing, but I would have liked to have done it at a slower pace and just really stopped a couple of nights in a few of the different locations just to really get some quality downtime, as it can get quite tiring being on the road constantly. As much as I do enjoy a good road trip, it's nice to stop and just smell the roses as such. And but it was an amazing 7 days, and Anne definitely enjoyed the drive, because the whole purpose was to show her a lot of the Australian landscape, as this was her first trip to Australia, and my parents were really keen to show her around, and as Dad put it, to show her real Australia. But if you like these sort of travel videos, hit like and please subscribe as I continue to grow this channel.